Book of Heaven, Volume 28, Part 9. November 9th, 1930. Difference between created love and creating love. Endowment with which God endowed the creature. Example. I live amid continuous privations of my sweet Jesus. Without him I do not find my center toward which to take flight in order to rest. I do not find the guide whom I trust. I do not find the one who, with so much love, acting as my teacher, gave me the most sublime lessons. His words were rains of joys, of love, of graces over my poor soul. And now everything is profound silence. I would want the heavens, the sun, the sea, the whole earth, to melt into tears, to cry over the one whom I no longer find, and do not know where he turned his steps. But alas, no one points him out to me. No one is moved to pity for me. Ah, Jesus, come back. Come back to the one from whom you yourself said that you wanted no other than she live only for you and with you. And now everything is ended. My poor heart is full, and who knows how many things it wants to say of the pain it feels, of the privation of its Jesus, of its life, of its all. Therefore I move on. So, while I was in the ardor of bitternesses, I was following the acts of the divine will. In one instant, everything was present to me, and my always lovable Jesus, making himself seen, all tenderness, told me, "My daughter, courage, my love has no end, and therefore I love the creature with infinite and insuperable love. If you say that you love me, yet what difference is there between created love and creating love? An image of difference is given to you by the creation. Look at the sun. Its light and its heat fill your eye, invest your whole person. Yet how much light do you take? Very little, just a shadow of its light. And what is left of the light of the sun is so vast that it can invest the entire earth, symbol of your small created love, which, as much as you might feel yourself filled to the brim, is always small. The love of your Creator, more than sun, remains always immense and infinite, and excelling over everything. It carries the creature in its triumph of love, making her live under the continuous reign of its creating love. Another symbol is the water. You drink it, but how much of it do you drink at all, compared to the water that exists in the seas, in the rivers, in the wells, in the bowels of the earth? It can be said very little, and what is left of it symbolizes the creating love, which by its own virtue possesses immense seas, and knows how to love the little creature with immense love. Even the earth tells you of your little love. How much earth do you need in order to put your feet down? Just a small space, and that which is left in abundance. Oh, how much it is! So, between the love of the Creator and that of the creature, there is a distant and immeasurable distance. In addition to this, you must add that in creating man, the Creator endowed him with his properties. Therefore, he endowed him with his love, with his sanctity, with his goodness. He endowed him with intelligence and with beauty. In sum, we endowed man with all our divine qualities, giving him the free will to be able to put our endowment in circulation, expanding it more and more, according to how much more or less it would grow, placing also from his acts in our own divine qualities, as the task of work which he received in order to preserve and expand for himself the endowment given by us. In fact, our infinite wisdom did not want to issue the work of our creative hands, birth from us and our Son, without giving him from our own. Our love would not tolerate issuing him to the light of the day, as stripped and without properties. It would not have been a work worthy of our creative hands. And if we had given him nothing, our love would not feel so drawn to love him. Because he is our own, he has from our own. And he cost our love so much, we love him so much, to the point of laying down my life. When things cost nothing, and nothing is given, they are not loved. And it is precisely this that maintains the burning stake of our love always ignited, always alive, because much we gave, and still give to the creature. Do you see, then, what great difference there is between the love of the creature and that of the Creator? If she loves us, she takes from our own properties, given to her in order to love us. But even though the created love is small, compared to the creating love, yet we want this little love. Even more, we long for it, we crave it. And when she does not give it to us, we go into a delirium. It happens to us as to a father who loves his son, and endows his son with his properties. And this son, loving his father, very often takes the fruits of the properties given to him, and sends them to his father as gift. Oh, how the father delights in receiving the gifts, though he does not need them. In the gift, he feels himself loved by his son. The gift is the speaking and operating love of his son. And the love of the Father always grows toward him, and he feels honored, satisfied, for having given his properties to the one who loves him and who nurtures the affection toward his Father. But what would be the sorrow of this father if the son never sent him anything of the goods that were given to him? He would break the most sacrosanct of duties, the love between son and father, and would convert the joy, the happiness of paternity into sorrow. More than father do we love the creature, and all our happiness is in being loved back. And if she does not love us, she would convert, if she could, our paternity into sorrow. Therefore, my daughter, the more you love us, the more gifts you send to your celestial Father, which are so very pleasing to us, because they are the fruits of our divine properties, given with so much love by your Creator. Fiat. November 20th, 1930. How the fear of losing a good means possessing it. Who has the right to ask for the kingdom of the divine will? Nourishment in order to form and grow the life of the divine will in the creature. My abandonment in the divine volition continues, though with the fear that because of my infidelities, I might have the great misfortune of being rejected from living inside the beautiful heaven of the supreme Fiat. Oh God, what pain! My Jesus, do not allow that I may go out of my dear inheritance, which you with so much love have given me, and in which with so much jealousy you have always kept me. I ask you this for love of the heavens, which with so much love you extended over my head, symbol of the heaven, which with even greater love you enclosed in my poor soul, which is your will. Make it so that it may always reign in me, and that its kingdom may extend in the whole world. I ask you this for the sake of that love with which you created the sun that beats continuously on the earth, without ever stopping its course, to offer to me your love of light, living and real image of the sun of your will, within which, more than in a sea of light, you enfolded your little daughter. I ask you this for the sake of the maze of the pains in which I have been enveloped and besieged, pains that water me with bile continuously, which makes me feel myself under the rain of storms that threaten to drown me, pains which it is not given to me to entrust to the paper. Jesus, Jesus, have pity on me, and let your divine will reign in me and in all. But while I was pouring out my sorrow, my sweet Jesus, my dear life, extended his arms towards me to sustain me, and told me, "My daughter, courage! The fear of losing a good means possessing it, knowing it, and loving it, and possessing it not by usurpation, but by right of property. And when a good is possessed by right of property, no law, either human or divine, can with legitimate ways take away the goods that are possessed. More so, since it is absolute will of your Jesus for you to possess, by right of property, the inheritance of my divine fiat, which I have given you with so much love, so that you might ask by right for its kingdom to come upon earth. In fact, only one who possesses my will has the right to, and can by right, ask for its kingdom to come upon earth and extend everywhere. And since my will fills heavens, sun, sea, and everything, even though they do not have reason, they are dominated freely by the powerful strength and reason of my fiat, from which they never moved away. Therefore, in the name of the heavens, sun, and everything, you can, by right, ask for its kingdom. Because the smallest thing, as well as the greatest, animated and dominated by my divine will, is always superior to man. In fact, without it, man occupies the last place. He is the degraded one, and the most humiliated in the midst of all created things. He is the neediest, the poorest, who in order to live has to stretch out his hand to all created things to receive the charity of their beneficial effects. And sometimes this is denied to him by the expressed will of the one who dominates them. Even more, it puts the elements against man to make him touch with his own hand what it means not to live in the inheritance of it. Only our will gives the exaltation to the works of our creative hands. It puts them in the place of honor. It endows them with all goods in such a way that the word she has a footnote and refers to the creature. Our will, only our will, gives the exaltation to the works of our creative hands. It puts them in the place of honor. It endows them with all goods in such a way that she, the creature, will have need of no one. Even more, it renders her dominator of herself and dominator of everything. And by virtue of my will which they possess, all bow down and feel honored to let themselves be dominated. Therefore do not fear, because fear renders unhappy the good that one possesses, and embitters the purest, the holiest, and divine joys that exist in my fiat. More so, since each act done in my divine will forms the nourishment in order to nourish the past acts done in it. In fact, many acts united together have formed its life in the soul. And life cannot be preserved and grow without nourishment. Therefore, one act serves to preserve another and to form the life of my will in the creature. Repeated acts form the water with which to water it, the air to give continuous breathing to this life, all of heaven, the heartbeat to make it feel the continuous heartbeat of my will, the food to preserve it alive. And just as the body cannot live without nourishment, without the air that makes it breathe continuously, and without the heartbeat that gives motion to its whole life. Nor is it enough to have taken food a few times, or to breathe and palpitate at intervals, to be able to form the human life. But always, always, because only continuous acts have the virtue of forming life. Otherwise the life is extinguished. In the same way, one who wants to form within herself the life of my volition has need of repeated acts, in such way that nothing be lacking to this life, either the air to make it breathe, or the food to nourish it, or the heat, or the light to make her feel the life of heaven in her soul. Therefore do not be concerned with anything else, but always forward in my divine will. Fiat. November 24th, 1930. How there is not one point in which the divine will does not exercise its operating act toward the creatures, and these receive them according to their dispositions. Jesus speaks of chastisements. My abandonment in the divine fiat continues, but my poor existence goes on very often amid the bitternesses of the privations of my sweet Jesus. And while I long for him, reaching the point of feeling life missing in me, because he is my life, nor do I know any other life or other pleasure but Jesus. Then, if he comes for a little, while I feel myself coming to life again, that breath of life that he gives me, he embitters, because he tells me nothing other than the great chastisements which divine justice keeps prepared. How all the elements will put themselves against man. The water, the fire, the wind, the rocks, the mountains will change into deadly weapons, and strong earthquakes will make many cities and people disappear. And in all nations, not even our own will be spared. And then the revolutions in which they are and will be engulfed, and the wars that are about to break out, it seems that almost all will be caught in the net which they themselves are preparing. But he says this with such bitterness, and then he leaves me without my usual pains, which he used to communicate to me. So, while I was embittered, I continued my acts in the divine volition, and my sweet Jesus, making himself seen, told me, "My daughter, rise, come into my operating will. My will is immense, but in its immensity there is not one point in which it does not exercise special and distinct acts toward mankind. And even though my will is one is its immensity, one is its act. However, in its immensity, it holds the order of all the effects which come out as acts from the one single act, to pour themselves out toward each creature, who receives them according to her dispositions. If she is disposed to loving me, she receives the effects of the love that my operating will is pouring. If disposed to being good, she receives the effects of its operating goodness. If disposed to becoming holy, she receives the effects of its sanctity. So, according to their dispositions, the immensity of my fiat pours itself, its different effects, which convert for them into acts, over each creature. And one who is not disposed receives nothing, even though my divine will is always there, as operating over each one of them. And since they do not want to receive the good it wants to give them, my justice converts these goods that the creature rejects into chastisements. This is the reason why my divine will is as though on the lookout from within the elements to see whether they are disposed to receive the good of its continuous operating. And in seeing itself rejected, tired, it arms the elements against them. Therefore, unforeseen chastisements and new phenomena are about to happen. The earth, with its almost continuous tremor, warns man to come to his senses. Otherwise, he will sink under his own steps, because it can no longer sustain him. The evils that are about to happen are grave. Otherwise, I would not have suspended you often from your usual state of victim. Now, the creature who enters into my divine will lets not one act escape her. She runs to each operating act of it, adores its acts, thanks them, loves them, and everywhere honors the supreme volition. She keeps them company, and in her littleness, she would want to secure all of its acts with her little love. So, only one who lives in it can defend the rights of a will so holy. Therefore, always in my will do I want you, and you never want to go out of it. Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 28, Part 9. Fiat.